G'day guys and welcome to this Premier League edition of Beyond the 90. I am your host, Alex Ellerman. Well, the Premier League is known as one of the most exciting brands of football around the world. I'll tell you what, this past week, has been the defining reason as to why it is the most impressive and exciting league in the world. An absolutely stellar week of football in the Premier League with so much news stories to cover. It's just been utterly brilliant. So I won't be holding back in this one. This one's going to be nice and open. But we'll, of course, as always, we'll start off with the news. So this past round, we saw Liverpool, Manchester United and Tottenham all go down in shock losses, which is very upsetting for the clubs that are looking to still push for those all-important top four spots and even challenge for the title. And just the form that all the other sides are in when they come up against these big sides, then they're just taking it to them. Where Liverpool went down 3-1 to West Ham. United threw away a 3-1 lead at Leicester to go down 5-3. And Tottenham lost to West Brom, giving West Brom their first win of the season. An absolute stellar round of English Premier League football. Now on to some even bigger news coming out of the Manchester City camp. Yaya Toure has denied the whole birthday cake spat that was going on during the summer, that there was a lot of rumours going on that he was going to leave the club due to them not giving him a birthday cake and acknowledging his birthday. He has come out and denied all of these allegations, saying that he's very disappointed that it's even gotten to this level. But still, we're getting a lot of mixed answers from his agent, from other players at the club, from players that know Toure. A lot of people are saying that he's not happy at the club, and it's the reason why his form is a little bit not up to expectations that we have set for the Ivorian midfielder. And look, whether he's disappointed with the club or not, it is somehow reflecting into his football. So he does need to shake all this aside, figure out whether he's going to stay at City or not, and then he can start getting back to his all-important best. And finally, the biggest news coming out of the previous round, Frank Lampard last night put Chelsea to the sword and finished their winning streak with a last-minute equaliser in the Manchester City-Chelsea game. Now, everyone knows that Lampard is Chelsea's old son. He's a bit of a talisman around the club and no doubt, an absolute legend of the English game. We saw a historical moment at the end of the game where Lampard walked up to the Chelsea supporters, gave them a round of applause, and it was the first time in my recent history I can remember a player getting applauded off the ground by both sides. An absolute immense show of respects by the fans at the Eastland, both City and Chelsea supporters. All right, so I'm going to give you the upcoming games coming up to round 6 of the Premier League as the race for points gets even more important as we get to that all-important Christmas period. So I'll be giving you my tips and picks for the upcoming games. All right, so let's have a look at the upcoming games in this round of the English Premier League. Well, the first game of the round sees the all-important Merseyside derby with Liverpool playing Everton. Now, this game is going to be all-important. Both sides are coming off a loss, and they both need to get into some form. It's been so frustrating as a Liverpool supporter seeing them get into this slump of just shock horror defensive errors, and the same can be said for Everton. Look, both defences are very shaky and need to tighten up. They both need to get into some form. Liverpool are missing Daniel Sturridge an immense amount, and and with Balotelli not in the right form, there's just no consistency for the Reds of Liverpool. And the same could be said for Everton, who did squander a lead against Crystal Palace in the last round. I will always back Liverpool in the Merseyside derby, seeing as it's the rivalry. However, the winner of this one will hope that this kickstarts a good run of form. If both sides are in a very, very, very poor slump at the moment. The next game sees Hull City against Manchester City. Now, both sides are coming off a draw. Hull are playing a very impressive brand of football. Steve Bruce has got them playing up to a very high level that I don't believe we've actually seen Hull play before. So it's always interesting when these more mid-table sides can really start to stick it to the big teams. Manchester City, as we know, are coming off that draw against Chelsea. They'll be on cloud nine with that Frank Lampard equaliser, and I do expect them to win this game quite comfortably. For me, I reckon Aguero is in fine run of form, and they should be able to comfortably win against Hull. However, they will be hoping that Yaya Toure can get into some fine form after just a bit of a slump in his games recently. The next game sees Sunderland against Swansea. Now, the Swans, they're coming off a loss. They started the season so well with a really impressive run of form, and they just want to get back into that consistency and flow that Gary Monk has them playing, and we know that they can play. Sunderland as well, look, they just seem to always be the bridesmaid, but never the bride. They always end up walking away with a draw or a loss. They need to start asserting themselves in these games and start getting a commanding lead and holding it, more importantly. But for me, I'm going to give this game to Swansea. The next game sees Crystal Palace against Leicester City. Now, both sides are coming off a fantastic win. Crystal Palace did beat Everton in the previous round, and Leicester, well, 5-3 against Manchester United. Who would have thought that they could put 5 goals beyond Manchester United? Fantastic football from Leicester, and I do see them doing this to a lot of teams in the Premier League. It's always great when a newly promoted side comes in and always slays a giant. So Leicester will be running on cloud nine, and I expect them to keep that momentum going, and they should be able to get this win against Crystal Palace. The next game is Chelsea against Aston Villa. Chelsea, look, they have hit a little bit of a bump. They were meant to go 5 out of 5 against Manchester City. However, they were denied and only walked away with a single point. They are sitting 3 points clear on top, but I do see them getting quite comfortably over Villa, who are dealing with a bit of a sick stomach bug going through the camp, which could be the reasoning why Villa are coming off a loss to Arsenal with a lot of their players out sick. So hopefully their players recover in time, but I still see Chelsea winning this game quite comfortably. The next game, Manchester United against West Ham United. Well, Louis van Gaal, the walls must be closing in around him. He is in an immense amount of pressure to get his side to perform. The last game against Leicester was just shock horror, and it was really just probably United's worst moment in recent history, if I can remember, apart from the loss at home to Manchester City a few seasons back. But this has got to be their worst loss that I can remember against a newly promoted side, and they've just got to really just step it up and play the football that we know that they can play. I mean, it's Manchester United. It's not like they lack quality in their squad. A really disappointing run, and their fans will start to get fed up, and then the pressure is on the board, and more importantly on Louis van Gaal to start getting results. Otherwise, we could see Van Gaal being called into the boardroom for that all-important what is going on meeting. And West Ham, they are coming off a very impressive win against Liverpool, and I expect them to keep it running. And for me, I'm going to give this game to West Ham. And the Hammers should be able to upset Man United at home, which would be great for Sam Allardyce as he just starts to relieve that tension. The next game sees Southampton, who are sitting second, against QPR, who are coming off a draw. Southampton, considering they lost a lot of stars at the start of the season, playing a fantastic brand of football, and I expect them to keep up their winning ways against QPR, who are just really hot and cold at the moment. And I do expect Southampton to win this one quite comfortably, and don't be surprised if it's another 4-0 victory for Southampton. The next game sees another derby, the North London derby, Arsenal versus Tottenham. Now, Arsenal are coming off an all-important win. They are hitting form in the right time. You want to get a win before you go in and face your arch rivals. And they're lucky enough that Tottenham has come off a disappointing loss to West Bromwich Albion. So Arsenal will be hoping to keep Tottenham in that losing run and get the win against their arch rivals. However, this game is never disappointing. There is always an abundance of goals and the football quality is always high. It's almost too hard to pick as with both of these sides because they're both in a bit of a hilly patch at the moment with their form, but I will give it to Arsenal only because I do feel that Mesut Ozil is in a fine run of form. Aaron Ramsey is always a difference maker, and seeing as Danny Welbeck has got his all-important first goal for the side, I do feel that they should be able to sneak this one away from Tottenham and get their first derby win of the season. The next game sees West Bromwich Albion versus Burnley. Now, Brom, they're coming off a 1-0 win over Tottenham. They'll be on cloud 9, the first win of the season. Alan Irvine was happy, the fans were happy, and they're going to keep that momentum going. And I expect them to really take it to Burnley. For Burnley, this could be the game where they really define their season. They want to start getting a few wins on the board. They always seem to be in draws, playing fantastic football, but just not getting the goals. I will give this game to West Bromwich Albion. They are coming off a win, and I expect them to keep that form going, and they should win this one about 1 or 2-0. And finally, the last game of the round, Stoke City versus Newcastle United. Well, for me, Stoke and Newcastle, they're just very shaky as well in their form. It's a bit of up and down. One week they're fantastic, another week they're not. Newcastle probably are the latter of the two. Newcastle is the side at the moment that is really struggling to get the wins on the board, keeping continuous pressure on Alan Pardew, who for me looks like he's in a bit of trouble, and this could be his swan song match if Stoke can manage to get the win. So I'm going to be backing Stoke to get the win, and it wouldn't be surprising if this is goodbye for Alan Pardew after this match. All right, so that's all we've got time for on this episode of Beyond the 90. Hopefully your team does well in the upcoming round. Remember, you can keep up to date with all my blogs on www.beyondthe90.net, and please follow me on Twitter at Alex_Ellerman. Thank you guys, and I will see you next week.